The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Saint Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The people stood there watching, and the leaders kept jeering at Jesus, saying, "He saved others, let him save himself, if he is the Messiah of God, the chosen one." The soldiers also made fun of him, coming forward to offer him their sour wine and saying, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was an inscription over his head, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals hanging in crucifixion blasphemed him, "Aren't you the Messiah? Then save yourself and us." But the other one rebuked him, "Have you no fear of God, seeing you are under the same sentence? We deserve it, after all. We are only paying the price for what we have done. But this man has done nothing wrong." He then said, "Jesus, remember me when you enter upon your reign." And Jesus replied, "I assure you, this day you will be with me in paradise." My dear sisters and brothers, the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated.
I'm tempted to be extremely serious in my reflection tonight on the festival or solemnity of Christ the King, remembering some important messages conveyed to us by the late Pope John Paul II, or Saint John Paul II. And the cry and the battle cry of Pope Francis for shepherding of our time. Taking a closer look on the three readings that we have today led me then to share with you three important messages. One, the context of the first reading was the overthrowing of Saul and the anointing of David as a new king. The elders of the Israelites came to Hebron and asked David to shepherd. There was a beautiful and strong statement in the first reading. If you pay careful attention, "I shall shepherd my people." Perhaps it was not the words uttered by David. It was God's or Yahweh's words. And it was in that light that I remember the pastoral letter or encyclical letter written by Saint John Paul II entitled Pastores Dabo Vobis, "I shall give them shepherd." The shepherd that the Lord promised to His people and for His people have the following qualities. One, that shepherd will lead. He is a leader. He is setting the vision, and he is aiming at bringing his flock to a kind of new world, new hope, new life vision. And that shepherd will be journeying with his people, never set apart from his people. He will be within his people and with his people, and not to jeopardizing the many messages that we will be hearing in these coming days, because Advent is dawning. He shall be an Emmanuel. That shepherd will always be with his people and never set any day or any moment apart from his people. The path of his people shall be the road he walked through. Not only that, his only concern will be the welfare of his flock, his people. He will not think of himself, and he will not run away when wolves snatch, says John, to further jumping into the scripture. His heart will be a resemblance of my heart, says Yahweh. His thought will always be about his people, my people, the sheep that he needs to take care of. And then he struggled in order to save so that no one single sheep or flock will get lost. I shall shepherd my people. And perhaps the first message of the solemnity of Christ the King for each one of us members of Sacred Heart Charismatic Community would be to imbue our lives and our hearts with the very heart of the great King that we have. To be leader in the community is to be shepherd. To be leader in the community is to be the one kneeling down. To be the leader in the community must be the one giving hope, giving vision, giving life, set free. And that was what is told to us in the first reading. That Sacred Heart Charismatic Community members shall always imbue their hearts, their minds, their lives with the very heart and with the very love and the very concern and the very mind of the great King who was a shepherd. Jesus. Thus, kingship in a term that has been loosely used is actually serving or servanthood. The first reading. That king who is a shepherd gathers the scattered, regathers God's lost people, brings back to the fold all those straying, forgives, gives new life and new hope, embrace them, forgives. That king who is a shepherd has a compassionate heart. And he is the one regathering and bringing once again. Even if he was a God, but his face resembles human face, and even if he was the firstborn, but he remains humble. And that's the tone of the second reading. Everything exists in this planet and in this universe have life because of that word, the King. And everything owns life because of that King. And when life was trampled and threatened, that King upholds it and brings it and firms it up. And that's why it is Him that who regathers, forms a community, and that community is today called the church. He is the head. We are the members. But we cannot survive if our lives are detached from the life of the King and from that great shepherd, we called it. And so Paul says something very beautiful also for Sacred Heart Charismatic Community. That our mission is to regather. There are so many lost, there are so many confused, and there are so many sick, and there are so many sinful among us, including me. We bring each other to God's fold again. Because that's the mission of the King. He laid down His life on the cross He was jeered. He was mocked. Never mind. He did not pay attention to it because the mission was clear. To rebuild, to establish, to give once again the face of God in the church. The real face. Face like the story of the book of Genesis. Without that king, there was death. But with that king, everything was created. Everything was having and owning life and being sustained simply because that king continually pouring out his life and his love, because believing without his life and love, the whole church and the sheep shall perish. I keep on challenging the community on my favorite statement. Hindi pwede mapagod ang kasapi ng Sacred Heart Charismatic Community. And I will not be ashamed of repeating the same. Because even Jesus never ashamed telling you and me that the only reason for his mission and for his death was love. And he is never get tired of loving you and me. And thus, in order for us to establish a community to bring God's people once again in one fold, with Jesus the King as the head, and we serve as the body, we should not get tired. And it was in that context that I quote my first homily here after my long absence. And I was talking about catechists there. There are two missions of catechists according to Pope Francis. One, gipapukaw. Karang matulog-tulog lang, gipapukaw. Dapat ipapukaw. And that was the mission of evangelization. And that's the only road to regather the scattered. Dapat gipapukaw. And having wakened them up, the second mission of every catechist, according to Pope Francis, hibog saying good si Pope Francis ni. Pope Francis is that someone who has a memory of God experience, cherish that memory, and then awakening the same memory in others and live that memory in the community. And this is the point of the second reading. We have a memory that we were once recreated by the Word, by our encounter with Jesus. And we cannot hide it because that memory impels us further and give us strength so that we can awaken the same memory in others and so that others may come here and be part of the so-called rejuvenated community because we share our lives. The second reading. And the gospel seems to be bring us to Good Friday. The Passion. And he was already hung helpless on the cross. It was not enough to torture him. His flesh shattered. His blood dripped to the ground when he was scourged. And then, not enough seeing him falling for 3 times with heavy load on his shoulder. Not enough that he was already nailed on the cross. Yet, they keep on insulting. If you are truly a king, show your power. If you are Messiah, save yourself. And even sinful people like me jeer at Jesus every time I'm confused, I'm wrong, and I committed sin. If you are really Messiah, prove yourself. But the real king, the real Messiah was not for saving his own life or his own character or his own identity. No. The real king does not escape the pain of love. The real king, the real shepherd does not even cover his face from insult. The real shepherd and king embrace all the pains, all the insults, all the cruel rebukes. Because that real king saves his people only with compassionate heart, with a forgiving soul, and even to the thief on the cross, when humbling himself, having realized that he has gone wrong in life, Lord, remember me when you come into your reign. And here is the statement of our King. Today, you are with me in paradise. That paradise is a humble serving the Lord and humanity. That paradise is a life shared, broken, offered for God and for humanity. That paradise is the Eucharist we celebrate here. The cross was the altar. The lamb of sacrifice was love, Jesus. And it is that cross and that love that brings you to one fold again, called chosen race, royal priesthood, people redeemed. And we are redeemed by a king, not by a slave. We are redeemed by God, not by humans. And since we have seen God and we have experienced being liberated and freed, our mission is the mission of the shepherd, the king, to love until the last drop of our blood, and to love until the last breath of our life, and to serve not with our words alone, but with our lives offered. Only then, if we remember the theology of baptism, we are in baptism called partakers in the kingship of Jesus. And that kingship is a life radically offered as a gift to God and to each other. We make a promise tonight that as members of Sacred Heart Charismatic Community, we shall serve the mission of the King with our own committed heart and spirit. Please all rise.